Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day, and this is our Feast of Trumpets. If you guys have paid attention on the our weekly Shabbat, we went over all of the things of what the trumpet means, what this is truly about, and what we're dealing with in dealing with the trumpets. We're dealing with the voice of Yahweh, and in dealing with that, it's also understanding the calling of Yahweh and being obedient unto receiving that calling. When we talk about those of us who have kids understand a certain thing. I was just talking to the brothers in the baptism conference and explaining how basically Yahweh gives us a smaller version of his situation by giving us a family. He likens Israel as his wife. And when we go through all of the things of having the issues with Israel, Yahweh is likening that unto a marital situation that is going rocky, because we stood there and agreed to all of those vows, and then right after that we broke all of those things. We stood there and said everything that Yahweh has said we will do. So what he has given us is basically a smaller version so that we can understand his plight. When you talk about when we have children, those children are going to constantly ask you for things. When you look at what we do as far as when we enter into situations, we pray to Yahweh about certain things. It never does occur to us that somebody else is praying for something else. And see, when you got two kids, then you understand issues, because one of them is asking you for one thing, and the other one is asking you for something that completely contradicts what the other one is asking for. Well, we do Yahweh the same way. You are praying for one thing, and it never does occur to you that the person sitting next to you is praying for the exact opposite of what you're asking for. So Yahweh has this situation so that we will begin to understand what it is he goes through. If we're going to truly worship and serve Yahweh our Elohim, then there's a certain part of those things that we have to understand, that we have to, sometimes that means we have to go through a few things for us to understand. Now, the trumpet is symbolic of the voice of Yah, yet we have people teaching that it doesn't matter which horn you use to call upon the Most High. As we read on the Sabbath, the ram horn is what Yahshua was instructed to use, along with 7 priests blowing them. Somehow we have gone from specific instructions to now it doesn't matter which horn you blow. When King David went to get the ark, he did it first without the Levites, and a man was killed, because he didn't follow specifically the instructions on dealing with holy things. When King David fixed this error, he could bring the ark home where it belonged. Let's begin tonight's sermon in Exodus chapter 24.
Exodus chapter 24 and verse 1. And he said unto Moshe, Come up unto Yahweh, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship you afar off. And Moshe alone shall come near to Yahweh, but they shall not come near, neither shall the people go up with him.
So you automatically have a separation in who gets to come to the closest part of dealing with Yahweh. And when you understand all of the things that Moshe went through, that what he said was Moshe will be obedient. He will do these things. So he was understood about sanctifying himself so that he could come close to Yahweh. Even when you talk about who Aaron is, you're talking about he is, the high priest. Yet he don't get to walk up and deal with Yahweh right away. And these are things that people don't consider. People just think that we can just deal with Yahweh any old kind of way, that anybody can come and anybody can do things. It's not set up like that. And people are not really understanding that there are levels to dealing with this thing. So Moshe can come to a certain point, Aaron can come to a certain point, then the other under priests can come to a certain point. Those 70 elders can come to a certain point. But we have to understand that part of what and how Yahweh deals. Go ahead.
And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh had said will we do.
Right. In other words, we agreed to the marriage covenant. We said all of the things that you have said we will do. So this is a covenant. We agreed to all of those things. And when you get further down in this book, you start hearing Yahweh says, I'm married unto you. And we didn't understand that we were entering into this covenant in this way. Jump to, let's go to chapter 20, or go to verse 18.
Okay.
And then we're going to read through 25 and verse 9.
And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount. And Moshe was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they bring me an offering. Of every man that gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering.
Every man that gives it willingly with his heart. So if it's not willingly, don't even give it. Go ahead.
And this is the offering which you shall take of them, gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and scarlet, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and badger skins, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense.
Now, you look at the things that he is using to make this tabernacle. You already have, as we went over on the Sabbath day, it was the blood of the ram that consecrated the priest to be able to serve. Now you have the tabernacle, then it has the ram skins dyed red. So you start to see the same animals over and over, yet we have people calling upon Yahweh. Now this understand that the trumpet is indicative of the voice of Yahweh. So you have this ram used over and over, but then people are pulling out the kadu, an African antelope that cannot be offered on Yahweh's altar. The ram can. And they're telling everybody it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 25 and verse 7. Onyx stones and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall you make it.
Now, that is a very important statement right there. And that statement appears about 10 or so times throughout. When you get to this statement, according to the pattern showed you in the mount. We find that same statement in Exodus chapter 25 and verse 40, Exodus 26 and verse 30, and Exodus 27 verse 8. And each one of those things, as he's telling them what to do, he says, according to the pattern showed you in the mount. So we don't get to pick and choose when it comes down to holy things. He has given us specific instructions about dealing with holy things or even setting those things up. Let's go to Hebrews 8, because I know all of those things that I mentioned was in the Old Testament. Now you're going to find that even in the New, they refer back to those same instructions.
Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 1. Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the heavens.
Right. So we have, when you hear people that are talking about the priesthood is done away with, they're cutting off Yahshua. I don't think they understand that's what they're doing. You know, this is why I tell people the danger about listening to anybody who has a webcam. When they tell you that the priesthood is done away with, you got a high priest, Yahshua, who anointed the throne in heaven with the blood that he shed of his own body. If you cut off the priesthood, you cut off Yahshua. I don't think people understand when you hear blasphemy, if you really know that it's blasphemy. If the priesthood is done away with, Yahshua has done nothing. Yahweh said, I'm going to magnify the law and make it honorable. And when you look at the things that Yahshua did, that is exactly what he did. He magnified the law. I ended up having a question on one of the videos that I am going to get into, but I didn't have an opportunity to do it today. But the question was, do we follow, Moshe's law, or do you follow Yahshua's law? And what people really don't understand, and this is the part of the whole, I guess, especially with the Hebrew Christian mixed doctrine, they don't understand that Yahshua's law is harder. They talk all of these things about, they keeping that old law. No, the new covenant law is harder. But if nobody has explained that to you yet, you are walking around believing, man, them people doing some stuff that they don't even need to be doing. They worrying about some stuff they don't even need to worry about. But when you read Yahshua's law, when you read the things that he said about the law, it is more difficult than Moshe's law. And not just that. The word said he that despised Moshe's law died after 2 or 3 witnesses. He said, how much sore punishment do you think the people are going to receive after receiving this truth and walking away from it? So not only is the word harder under Yahshua's law, so is judgment. But because we don't get it right away, that's why people take it haphazardly. If it was a bunch of people walking around with a sack of rocks, I guarantee you, Jake wouldn't do half the stuff that we do. Because you look at them sack of rocks, you're like, you know what? No, man, not today. Not today. Because I don't feel like dodging those right there. And I don't know if you ever seen one of them things. Those are the most horrible things that you can ever imagine. Stoning is ugly. And then in the judgment, Yahweh makes the witness throw the first rock. So nobody can stand and say, well, I ain't got nothing to do with that. No. All of Israel had to take part in it. Why? So you can hate sin. So ain't nobody going to go off in the corner over here where I ain't got nothing to do with that. No. We got a whole bag of rock. Go ahead and pick up one. What? See, that's the thing about judgment that people don't really understand. We all would have to do it. And it ain't pretty. And it ain't nothing I want to take part in, honestly. I don't want to see no stoning. But his commandments was carved in stone with the finger of Elohim, and the judgment was in stone. Let's go to Hebrews 8, start that at verse 1.
Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Adonai pitched and not man. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices, wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer.
When they asked Yahshua, why do your disciples do that which is not lawful on the Sabbath day? And then he started talking about priests. So why we still got people walking around talking about the priesthood's done away with? They didn't understand what he was saying. Go ahead.
For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moshe was admonished of Elohim when he was about to make the tabernacle. For, see, says he, that you make all things according to the pattern showed to you in the mount.
So they are then repeating this instruction that was said over and over to Moshe. Make sure you do things according to the pattern that was shown you. All of those instruments have a reason and a purpose. And the whole thing about the pattern that was showed in the mount was this: let everything be done on earth as it is in heaven. So you got to ask yourself a question. If you deal with something or you alter it on earth, did the things in heaven change according to what you've done? And if not, you done got yourself into something. Go ahead.
Verse 6. But now has he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second, for finding fault with them.
With them. Finding fault with them. The problem was with the people. Go ahead.
For finding fault with them, he says, Behold, the days come, says the Adonai, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Adonai. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Adonai.
Right. I will make. This is a future. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. Now, what a lot of people like to go past is who he's making this covenant with. He's still talking about Israel. See, everybody else got to go through Israel. But what they want to do is bypass Israel and go straight to Yahweh. It doesn't work like that. The covenant is being made with Israel. Go ahead.
I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts.
If it's in your mind and hearts, then you ain't going to need a fringe to tell you, to remind you to keep the law. Because it's in your heart and it's in your mind. So you ain't got to look at something else and say, you know what? I need to remember to keep the Sabbath day. You know what? I need to remember that I should not kill. Oh, I need to remember. When stuff is in your heart and in your mind, ain't nobody got to tell you to do that. You know, I don't know what gets or how people get to that point, but it's a lot of things that have recently happened where the women would leave their kids in the car. And it's mind-boggling to me how it ain't in your heart to know that your child in the car. You know, that is amazing to me. But you have weight placed on people that really shouldn't be placed on them. A lot of times you got people trying to either work or trying to do some things that they may not be able to fulfill all the way by themselves. So that may add to, you know, that thing. And I pray it never happens to any of y'all. And I pray it's not something that I would ever encounter. But I just don't know how you leave your kid in a car, especially in a hot burning car. I can't, you know, think about what would you need to remind you that your child, first of all, my kids ain't never quiet. So it's going to be hard to leave one of them in the car. Because they going to be talking, hey, bro, you know I'm back here, right? You know, I don't see me being able to leave any one of those. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know that, and I hope I don't. Some things you want to understand, but no, that one ain't one of them. I don't want to understand how that can happen. But that has to be in your heart when you are thinking about certain situations, when you're thinking about this is my child, or I got to get my child here. You know, how you go to work and leave the child in the car? Well, you know that you got to drop the child off somewhere to go to work. So there's certain things that if you need reminders to do them, there's something going on that ain't quite right. Go ahead, brother. Could you turn on that Omni mic so we can hear him? Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add on to what you're saying, because for all these years, you see people, they have a marriage ring. But the ring, yeah, it may be a symbol, but within yourself, you have to see the marriage as an important thing to you as an individual. Because there's people that have a ring on and still go out there and fornicate and commit adultery.
Well, I mean, not just that. And then people take the ring off and then say, you know, they ain't married no more until they put the ring back on. So you thought the ring, the symbol of the marriage, was the marriage? Oh, yeah. And I've heard people, you know, ask folks, you know, saying, you married? They say, yeah, but my husband not here. I said, well, that's some sad stuff you're talking right there. That's I don't know if you thought you was impressing me, but you really just pissed me off. It was not impressive. Not at all. Go ahead, brother.
And I'll be to them a Elohim, and they shall be to me a people. Verse 11. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, know the Adonai, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I'll be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their lawlessness will I remember no more. In that, he says, a new covenant he has made the first old. Now that which decays and wax old is ready to vanish away.
All right. Now, we must remember that in the garden, Yah told man not to eat from the tree or he would die. Hillel, or Lucifer, said you won't surely die. In other words, it doesn't really matter if you eat it. So it doesn't matter doctrine when it comes to specific things is a doctrine of devils. We're not talking about a side thought or an afterthought because of sin. There are things on earth that are in direct representation of the things in heaven, and those things cannot be changed. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahweh your Elohim, which he has given you.
Right. So then we have these things that are given unto man. Now let's go to Job chapter 1, and we understand that these things were already in place before anything was set here on the earth. It's like that whole situation of when we read about the ram's horn. When we read what was given as an offering in the stead of offering up Esaac, what was there? What was given? It was the ram caught in the thicket by his horns. So this is before any law is ever set in place. There is no set thing of an offering because there is no set nation. He's beginning this with Abraham. There ain't no nation. There ain't no nation to tell about an offering. Yet he has already designated what the offering was going to be before there was a nation of Israel. He's beginning this with Abraham. And then the ram gets caught in the thicket. But look at how he pushed him. He made him believe he was going to sacrifice his son all the way up. And the whole time, he already got a substitute waiting for him. Yahshua did the same thing. Yahshua had 70 disciples and it went down to 12. How? He said something they ain't like, which is the main thing most people walk away from the word because of something they hear that they don't like. He said, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part in me. Man, them 70 people said, man, this man is a cannibal. This brother talking about eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Now, understand something now. You're talking about during a time where people are strict about the law. Okay? They're very strict about what they will eat, what they will not eat. He didn't just offer them no pig. No. That would have been foul enough. No, he said, eat my body and drink my blood. It's like, man, this dude is a Hebrew Dracula. You got to go, Jack. They were ticked off. The 70, it says they left and followed him no more. Who's left? The ones who's supposed to be there. Then he says, will you go? Then he taunts those. Are you offended? He know he offended them. He asks, are you offended? See, it's been my experience that people who are easy to offend won't be able to serve y'all for very long. See, you got to find you a little backpack and got to grab them feelings and put them right in that backpack. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems. Otherwise, somewhere down that road, you're going to have some problems. So Yeshua taunts him. Are you offended? Say, are you going to lead too? He said, man, where we going to go, man? You the son of Elohim and you got the words of life. All right, this is my group. Let's go. Let's go. This who I'm supposed to have right here. But see, some people would have said, no, man, you need to make it easier so you can get more people. Did Yeshua do that? Right. I don't think people pay attention. I do not think, because you can have a whole bunch of people in the room and still be the loneliest person in there. Because when the going gets tough, folk gonna show you what the deal is. They gonna show you. So if you do all of the things to make people comfortable, what you gonna do when we get to hardships? They gonna leave you high and dry anyway? Go ahead and leave me today. See, don't let me get all the way down the road and get accustomed to dealing with you. I done set up some things for you. No, let's just go ahead and get this leaving on. So we can go ahead and get this done. Exactly what Yeshua did. Let's go ahead and get this out the way. He said he automatically knew who was going to really serve him and who was really about that business. So he pressed them to make them reveal themselves in that. Did you got that yet?
I'm there. Job chapter 1 and verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
So when it's talking about sons of Elohim, in this case, he's talking about angels. Because now Lucifer, Hallel, is coming too. So we're talking about the most disrespectful angel that we have ever heard of, but he made his appearance. I want you to rattle that one around in your cage for a minute. The most disobedient one ever. But he's still showing up to make his appearance. What? He's teaching deception, but he show up to make his appearance. You got to sit there and think about that. He does things to make man fall, yet he makes his appearance. So when you talk about these appearances then that were given here that we just read in Deuteronomy, you have to consider when it says, let it be done on earth as it is in heaven, these appearances were already in heaven. So what make anybody think we can begin to alter those things? Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, whence cometh you? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahweh said unto Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that fears Elohim and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, does Job fear Elohim for naught?
Jump to chapter 2 and start that at verse 1.
Again, there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
Now, look. So now it's the second appearance. So we're talking from one chapter to the next chapter. You have two appearances that angels have to make. and Satan has come as well. So when it comes down to making the appearances, when it comes down to doing certain things, he still knows that he has to follow certain instructions. Even though he teaches rebellion, he still follows certain things. Now, if you want to talk about deception, it don't get no better than that. When somebody organizes a skip day, but then they go to school, oh, it's something wrong with that cat. And then he telling on everybody. Kish down, Sock down, Eli down. Wait a minute, how do you know who all at the skip party? Oh, because I organized it. What? But you went to school. Right. So he comes in the garden, causes disruption, and then go and make an appearance right before Yahweh. Here I am, Yahweh. Yep, there you go. Right?
And Satan came also among them to present himself before Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Satan, From whence cometh you? And Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it.
Understand something. Everybody work for Yahweh whether they know it or not. See, even the evil deeds. When Yahweh creates light, there has to be an opposite of darkness. If there's good, there has to be evil. Somebody got to play that role. Even when Yahshua knew that Judas would betray him, he didn't send him out. He said, he's a betrayer. Let him stay. Somebody got to offer me up. He knew a betrayer was in his midst. My elder used to say, you need demons and tools so they can keep each other company. Let's go to Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16, and let's read verses 13 through 20.
When Yahshua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I am? Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that you are Johannes the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He says unto them, But whom say you that I am? And Simeon Peter answered and said, You are the anointed one, the Son of the living Elohim.
Now, you know, we read that, and it's real easy to read that and see him saying, you are the Mashiach, you the Son of Elohim. But consider that you're talking to a traveling preacher with no church. And the Pharisees got money. And we have a tendency to believe that, you know, especially because we call money blessing. Anybody got money, we say, oh, they blessed. So blessing has changed into some kind of monetary thing. So here it is, you got this man, you know, people read that, but they don't really consider the background of everything else that's going on. Okay? He's not this majorly powerful figure, especially when he hadn't showed them a whole lot of things yet. And then he asks, who do you think I am? See, it's easier to read that and believe that you would have been one of those saying, you're the Son of Elohim. But would you? See, it's one thing knowing all of the information that's behind this. Take all that information away and you don't know any of that. See, there's some things that we just think are just completely easy. Yeah, I would have accepted him. Yeah, I would have accepted the word. No, there were some things he said that was pretty harsh. And quite frankly, I'm glad I wasn't standing there because I can't tell you exactly. I would have said, when the dude told me to eat his flesh and drink his blood, I'd be like, look, I don't know what we're going to do about this. I think I'm just going to sit here for a minute. I don't know how to do. But for those who did sit, guess what he did? He offered the substitution. Oh, eat this bread. Oh, this is my body. Now think about the ones who stayed. Then he said, oh, and drink this wine. this is my blood. Now, they then get to understand, oh, this was that stuff he said that ran them other people off. Right. But you know how long he waited before he explained that? Right. See, what was that about? He was constantly teaching. He was drawing out what was in their own heart. A lot of times people think they know what's in their heart until certain situations happen. Then they show what's in their heart. And a lot of times Yahweh's not doing it so that he can find out what's in your heart. He already know what's in there. He doing it so you can know what's in there. Not him. You already know. But see, it's important for you to know you. When you know you, you'll know how to stop certain things. You know what? I ain't going to be good in this situation right here. Hey, look, Kish, I'm going to need you to go with me. Why, man? You a faithful brother. Yeah, but that sister right there look good. I'm going to need you to go with me, bro. I might not do too good over there. Hey, you need to know yourself. You need to know where your boundaries at. Because if you don't know yourself, you say, oh, I can take that. I can do that, right? And then you come back, what you crying for? Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't know yourself, did you? You didn't know yourself as good as you thought you did. You know yourself, you start putting, all right, no. I don't need to do that right there. I'll do this up until that point right there. Because see, I know I may have some situations right over here if I go around this corner. So I'm going to stay right here. And Yahweh gives you opportunity for you to find out that about you. It ain't for you to condemn yourself. It's for you to learn how to operate in certain things. For you to set your own boundaries. There's some people that can go out and watch anything and everything and it don't bother them. Other people can watch something and it bother them so bad, but then people still go to watch. They go watch one of them scary movies and can't sleep for a week. Okay, look, if you know yourself, why you, there's some people you have to tell, why don't you just leave now? You know you can't watch this, man. But still keep pushing. Because they won't deal with the part of what Yahweh has shown them about themselves. You have to learn that. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 17. And Yahshua answered and said unto him, Blessed are you, Simeon Bar-Yonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed it unto you, but my Father which is in heaven.
Right. Flesh and blood has not revealed this unto you. My Father which is in heaven. That's the only reason you know. That's why you know this. He has revealed this unto you. Go ahead.
And I say also unto you that you are Cephas, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I'll give unto you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
Right, and that's the question that we got to ask ourselves when we get to things that we don't like or things that we want to alter. We have to ask ourselves, is the things in heaven going to change? Because of that. So when we say, you know, well, Yahweh has showed us the ram's horn. This is what he showed what the priests were blowing to bring judgment upon Jericho. If we decide we're going to do something else, you got to ask yourself, are the angels in heaven going to change with you? Now, you got some people that'll say, well, see, that same thing can be applied to the fringes. Let me ask you a question. You think the angels needed fringes to remind themselves to do what Yahweh said? If you do, you have a problem that reading tonight probably not going to fix. There's something there. The angels wasn't tricked. They made a decision. When you have that spirit, and they said, who's going to go and persuade Ahab that he may go to war and fall? And then you had that spirit that come and said, I'll go. He said, you going to go? What you going to do? He said, I'm going to be a lying spirit unto all his prophets. Now, there's an angel saying he's going to be a lying spirit. So, you know, the rest of them sitting there like, Who the hell taught you how to lie? Interesting. But you know Yahweh didn't stop him. That's the part you got to pay attention to. You know what? You go ahead and you prevail. You go and do that thing. But now he done been marked. There go lying spirit. That one of them. He with Lou. Yeah. All right, got it down. Right. He volunteered to go lie. Y'all didn't tell him to do that. But he sat there and watched. Right. So you're going to go and be a deceptive spirit. Right. And this was your idea. Wow. When you get in the book, it says when Lucifer tells a lie, he tells his own, for he is the maker of it. Said he made lies. He invented them. So when you deal with the spirit that is in heaven that agreed to go and be a lying spirit, we already know it says that he was going to draw a good number of the angels after him. It makes you consider, if Lucifer has this ability, Hallel has this ability to deceive, enter into man's situation, and then you got a certain number of angels that are following him. Every revelation or something that is then given that may feel angelic, what if that's coming from an evil angel? And that's something that we never consider. What if them evil angels do that same thing? This was the part that Yahshua was constantly telling the demonic spirits. Because they said, wait a minute, we know you. They look past the flesh. Fleshly, we saw the flesh person of Yahshua who Joseph had raised, that Mary had given birth to. That's not who that was. Upon baptism, the spirit of Israel entered into that body. That's what the demon saw. He said, we know you. And he said, shut up. Close your mouth and come out of him. He didn't want them to tell him who he really was. He wasn't really that flesh that they saw. The demons saw the real spirit. Now here go the flip side of that. Them demons know you too. That part don't make you so happy though. But understand, when they get to go, they go in a room full of people. They know who belong to Yahweh, who has been baptized. They know all of that. They know who to try. They'll pass 400 people and come to you. Hey, let me tell you something. Can I talk to you? I just want to drop a little bug in your ear. Right. How you pass 400 people to get to me? Because you the only one that I need to pervert. They already perverted. I don't need to pervert them. They already with Lucifer. I need you to be with Lucifer. Right. That's why you get people to come and try to drop a bug in your ear. And you think you just been picked on. No. That demon singled you out because they know you. Just like they knew him. You were baptized in his name. They know you. So you ain't going to slide in somewhere and not be seen. Them demons looking at you every turn you make. Everywhere you go, that demon looking at you. That's his job. But just like Yeshua had to persevere, we have to persevere. Whatever don't kill you, gonna make you stronger. You ain't gonna die. You just gonna get stronger. But you gotta persevere. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahshua the Mashiach.
All right, let's go to Amos chapter 3.
Uh, 9:36.
Amos chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
Hear this word that Yahweh hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your lawlessness.
Right. So Israel gets punished at a higher rate because of the things that we were given over the other nations. And when you look at it, we always get punished in everything more than other people. And that goes, do you understand that goes in everywhere we are? So if we want to say, oh, this is just the racism of America. Okay, well, explain that in South America. Explain that in Europe. Explain that in all the other places. We still get the highest part of judgment everywhere we are because he expects more from us. And this makes the other people angry. This makes especially that Sunday morning doctrine where it says, you only have I known out of all the families of the earth. Oh, that upsets some people right there. But we suffer for that very same thing too. You can't have the good parts and not take the bad parts with it. Go ahead.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Right. When you do walk with somebody, you agree that their doctrine is acceptable. See? You have to be careful. You have silently consented just by continually dealing with that individual. So if you know that these brothers that you like hanging out with, you know they robbing banks, and you hanging out with them, you have consented that robbing banks is okay. And everybody who see them gonna say, well, they agree with, Esaac agree with robbing bank. Why you say that? Because he hang with that robbing crew. Everybody know they the robbing crew. How can two walk together unless they be agreed? Sooner or later, an opposing doctrine is going to cause a rift. Go ahead.
Will a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he have taken nothing? Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid?
Right. The trumpet is the voice of Yahweh. Are you not afraid? See, people making this into a game. Now it's a party thing. They really don't understand what is contained in all of those things. Yes, we rejoice. We blow the trumpet in all of our solemn assemblies, our gatherings. But you have to also respect that sound. This is the voice of your Elohim. When you hear it, you move. Down there in those areas where they had them hurricanes, it's a horn that they had in. And that horn, they know it's time to get out of Dodge, Jack. You move when you hear that sound. And the people who don't, your life is in your own hands. Go ahead.
Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city and Yahweh has not done it?
Mm-hmm.
Surely the Adonai will do nothing, but he reveals his secret unto his servants, the prophets.
Surely Yahweh will do nothing, but he reveals his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So he gives them these instructions, let them know what area or how he's going to deal, and then he puts those things into play. Yahweh is still obedient unto his own setup that he himself set up. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 33.
Eight seven six.
Yeah, keep passing. we're going to start that at verse 1.
Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman, if when he sees the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever hears the sound of the trumpet, and takes not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet, and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that takes warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman see the sword come, and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his lawlessness, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand.
Because it's the watchman's job to warn the people of the danger that is coming. So when he doesn't do his job, that blood is then on him. Go ahead.
So you, O son of man, I have set you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore you shall hear the word at my mouth, and warn them from me.
So now he is the trumpet. So now Yahweh is then saying, it is your voice that is going to warn the people. This is the job that I have given you. But understand, that means if he's the trumpet and he has to warn them, he's got to say some unpleasant things. And people don't like when you start talking about judgment. But this is people's opportunity to back up and fix some things. The trumpet gives you an opportunity to get ready. Go ahead.
When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die, if you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his lawlessness, but his blood will I require at your hand.
Now, check that out. When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die. How many people want to turn around and say, hey, man, Yahweh said you're going to die? You are not exactly the most popular cat in town if them are the calls you're making. But here's the flip side. Yahweh said, oh, but if you don't make that call, guess who I'm going to do that to? Right. So you can try to be friends if you want to. Or you can do this job that I'm giving you. And you understand why Yahweh said to him, don't be afraid of the looks on their faces. So I don't care how Israel mean mug. You say what you got to say. Because if you don't, I'm going to come deal with you. Go ahead.
You know, in this day and time when people are so used to niceties, you're looking for somebody who's going to fit the mold of what you want to hear. And with listening to all these different watchmen, these different trumpets, are you going to know which is the real trumpet when it sounds?
That is a very, very interesting question, bro. Because understand, you might have one trumpet saying, ain't no danger. Another trumpet saying, thus says Yahweh, we about to get destroyed if we don't do such and such. Well, I don't like the sound of that trumpet. That trumpet sound mean. I like that other trumpet. It was just, it sound more like a flute. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 9. Nevertheless, if you warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his lawlessness, but you have delivered your soul.
Right. It's not your job, and this is what I have to tell people all the time. It's not your job to save anybody. That ain't your job. All you do is speak the word. You can tell people, hey, don't go out there in that street, man. It's a crazy man out there driving all kind of erratically. Whatever, man, I got to go do pow. Hey, I told him not to go out there. That ain't my job. Now, we can help pick up his parts. But that ain't my job to sit there and tackle him and make him not go. All I can do is tell you, hey, man, it's some dangerous things out there that you're dealing with. Go ahead.
Therefore, O you son of man, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus you speak, saying, if our transgressions and our sin be upon us, and we pine away in them, how should we then live? Say unto them, as I live, said the Adonai Yah, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked.
Right, even though they wicked, Yahweh still don't have no pleasure in the death of the wicked. He would rather that the wicked change. but the wicked too stubborn to change. What he said about Israel, stiff-necked and gainsaying people. You can try and talk to us and get us off our point. No, we ain't coming off our point. No, we're going to ride that point until we get to hellfire and damnation. Good luck. Go ahead.
But that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn you from your evil ways. For why will you die, O house of Israel? Therefore, you, son of man, say unto the children of your people, the righteousness of the righteous shall not deliver him in the day of his transgression.
So in other words, all the stuff that you have done good, you just burnt up. So you don't get to say, well, you remember that time in 1986? I helped that old lady across the street. I ain't gonna say you remember that time in 1987 you robbed those other people? Well, yeah, you burnt up the old deed you did with the lady when you robbed those people, so you back at zero. That's why you gotta keep working. That's why you ask people, what is your job? Because you don't know how many things you done burnt up. That's why you don't never just get, well, I done enough. Man, I don't know what kind of stuff I burnt up yesterday. I can't be counting stuff. Oh, man, well, you know, I did this. I did this video. Yahweh, I did that video. And he'd be like, yeah, but then you went down the street and did such and such. You burnt that up. So, well, I got to keep working. Because I can't have Yahshua show up and I got insufficient funds on my spiritual account. You understand what I'm talking about? I can't get no spiritual NSF. So I got to keep working. Go ahead.
As for the wickedness of the wicked, he shall not fall thereby in the day that he turns from his wickedness. Neither shall the righteous be able to live for his righteousness in the day that he sins.
So then Yahweh is so rich in mercy that if the wicked turns from the wickedness, Yahweh said, I won't even remember the wickedness no more. You've been doing wicked all this time. But I tell you what, if you turn from the wickedness and do good today, and keep doing good from today, I will wipe that out. Some of y'all who've been to court before, they got that first offender act. And they said, look, I know you done got locked up. I know you in the jail. But I tell you what, we'll offer you this program. If you don't do nothing else, we're going to act like this right here ain't never happened. And if you don't do nothing else, guess what? You got a clean record. Anywhere else you go, they say you ever been locked up, you can legally say, nope. Nope, I have not. You sure? I am positive, because that has been erased from my record. Go ahead.
Verse 13. When I shall say to the righteous that he shall surely live, if he trust to his own righteousness and commit lawlessness, all his righteousness shall not be remembered. But for his lawlessness that he has committed, he shall die for it. Again, when I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, if he turn from his sin and do that which is lawful and right, if the wicked restore the pledge, give again that he had robbed.
Right. What people like to say is, I'm sorry when they get caught. But that ain't how that works. You have to restore that. So the things that you took, you got to put that back. Go ahead.
Walk in the statutes of life, without committing lawlessness, he shall surely live, he shall not die. None of his sins that he has committed shall be mentioned unto him. He has done that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live. Yet the children of your people say, the way of the Adonai is not equal. But as for them, their way is not equal.
Right. The children of your people say the way of the Adonai, Yahweh's ways are not equal because they don't understand them. So now something wrong with his ways because they can't figure those ways out. Go ahead.
When the righteous turns from his righteousness and commits lawlessness, he shall even die thereby. But if the wicked turn from his wickedness and do that which is lawful and right, he shall live thereby. Yet you say, the way of the Adonai is not equal. O you house of Israel, I will judge you every one after his ways. And it came to pass in the 12th year of our captivity, in the 9th month, in the 5th day of the month, that one that had escaped out of Jerusalem came unto me, saying, the city is smitten. Now the hand of Yahweh was upon me in the evening, afore he that was escaped came, and had opened my mouth, until he came to me in the morning, and my mouth was opened, and I was no more dumb. Then the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, they that inhabit the waste of the land of Israel speak, saying, Abraham was one, and he inherited the land, but we are many. The land is given us for inheritance. Wherefore say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yah, you eat with the blood, and lift up your eyes toward your idols, and shed blood. And shall you possess the land?
Can you just possess the land just because you natural Israel, but you still do whatever it is you want to do? But you gonna possess the land just because you natural Israel? That ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
You stand upon your sword. You work abomination. You defile everyone his neighbor's wife. And shall you possess the land?
See, our people don't understand how and why we lost the land. So here it is, we dealing with trivial things that don't matter. So you got folks trying to get as much Hebrew, find as many Hebrew words as they possibly can. You do know we knew Hebrew when we got kicked out of it, right? They want to wear fringes everywhere. They had on fringes when we got kicked out. It's like we dealing with the surface things, but never dealing with the spiritual things or the real meat of the matter why we got kicked out of the land in the first place. And here it is, he's telling us. You stand up on your sword. Shall you steal and lie, be with your neighbor's wife, and shall you possess the land? Folks walk around calling themselves Hebrews, doing all of these things, and still think they're going to be in Yahweh's land. But they fooling themselves. Like you said, Lucifer so slick, he deceived himself. That deep when you so slick, you trick yourself. Hebrews doing the same thing. They so slick, they done deceived themselves. They swear they're going to be in that kingdom. They ain't going to be nowhere near it. He said, I'm going to bring all of them out. And then I'm going to purge out the rebels. Right. They ain't going in there. They just think they're going in there. Go ahead.
Say you thus unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yah, As I live, surely they that are in the waste shall fall by the sword, and him that is in the open field will I give to the beast to be devoured, and they that be in the forts and in the caves shall die of the pestilence. For I will lay the land most desolate, and the pomp of her strength shall cease, and the mountains of Israel shall be desolate, that none shall pass through. Then shall they know that I am Yahweh, when I have laid the land most desolate because of all their abominations which they have committed. Also, you, son of man, the children of your people still are talking against you by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, Come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that comes forth from Yah.
Now listen to what he said. Also, you son of man, the children of your people are talking against you. Why? Because he's telling the truth. They said, look, we want to go here, but they got indignation. My elder used to have the same thing. He used to have people show up every Sabbath, and they hated him. And he said, go home. Why are you here? But you know them demons can't help but come hear you. Them demons still got to come hear you. Go ahead.
And they come unto you as the people comes, and they sit before you as my people.
As my people, but they not. Go ahead.
And they hear your words, but they will not do them.
Right.
For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goes after their covetousness.
Shalom. Right. Right. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 4.
Revelations chapter 4 and verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me.
The first voice I heard was as of a trumpet talking to me. But yet we still got people saying, it don't matter what kind of horn you use. Go ahead.
Which said, Come up hither, and I will show you things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald.
Now, verse 3, he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. That's a deep reddish brown. So people say, well, there's nothing that tells you what he looked like. No, you ain't read. Because, see, we would turn this into something else today. And then it says, you know, and there was a rainbow round about the throne. Now, they done made him a gay princess at this point. You know, they done put the rainbow flag. The rainbow is the sign of the covenant. I don't care how many people tell you that's the gay flag. I don't care what they tell you. That's the sign of Yahweh's covenant. And you're not going to make the sign of my God's covenant your gay flag. So you can go on about your business with that. Go ahead.
And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim.
And we have this in several places. Isaiah 11, verses 1 and 2, lists those 7 spirits. So when people say they caught the spirit, we should all ask, well, which one did you catch? Yep. and I know people didn't hear what you said. Said there's some people that's got 9 spirits. The 7 golden candlesticks are representative of this of those spirits. So, and you'll go into a lot of Jewish congregations, and they have a 9-branch menorah, which symbolizes 9 spirits. So you have to ask, who are those other 2 spirits? But those also the ones that be blowing that kadu horn, and then they got all our people blowing the kadu as well. See, we mimicking and running behind everybody else. Now we want to speak Hebrew with them. Now we go do all these things, not knowing that people just pulling you further and further away from what it is you're supposed to be doing. And we got people spread all out across the 4 corners of the globe. Speaking one language, what's that going to do for us? We got people everywhere. When brothers start coming up speaking German, what good is your Hebrew going to do to the brother who speaks German? What about the Russian? What about all you know, there's so many dialects in Africa. You can't even say, yeah, he speak African. Now that don't make no sense. They might be in one village and have 5 different languages. A different brand of English, right? Yep. Because you say one thing in one part of America, it means one thing. You go to another part of America and say that same word, it means something else. Yeah. I remember my relatives came from New York, and they was like, hey, man, y'all got a pop? I was like, man, what the hell are you talking about, brother? I don't know. Well, I'm going to pop you in your face. You keep talking to me. I don't know. What are you talking about? What you saying? I'm like, what he asking for is a soda. I don't know what you're talking about, man. But then by the same token, I started talking, and they love the way we say shout it. They said, say it again. I said, man, well, why are you so enthused with Shorty? He said, no, Shorty. I said, no, that ain't how you say that, brother. Shouty. Ow. You got to put the ow in it. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Adonai Elohim Almighty, which was and is to come.
So, in other words, if all we gonna offer is lip service, he don't need us for that. He got business to say holy, holy, holy all day. So if that's all you gonna do, you can leave now. He don't need you for that. So we think we be doing something. We gonna sing. We gonna sing to him. Hey, yeah, he got business to do it, make noise for him all day. If that's the only purpose you gonna serve, you can go ahead and leave. Because we ain't going to do it right anyway. Look, they say holy, holy, holy all the time. You know we ain't going to even keep the rhythm right. Because we going to get tired. We going to go, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. We ain't going to even keep the rhythm. We going to start out right. Right. Go ahead.
And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who lived forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne, and worship him that lives forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, You art worthy, O Adonai, to receive glory and honor and power, for you have created all things, and for your pleasure they are and were created.
For your pleasure they are and were created. So let us enjoy our Feast of Trumpets and understand that it is just not some gathering that we do to blow the shofar to have fun and not understand that this is in representation of the voice of Yahweh. Every time that they heard him, they then hear this trumpet coming along with all of these other things. So we have to consider what that is. So, Brother Eliel, would you go ahead and send us out, please? Stand right there. Yeah. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Somebody get that brother